All right, so in this video, I want to talk about how I brainwashed my mind, to scoring a 329 on the GRE. So that was my final score. And I was not a good test taker initially. I remember in college, I had this friend who, he was a really good test taker. He got a 35 on the ACT in high school. And I would study so much. I would study for like 2 to 3 hours a day leading up to a test, and he would study the night before, maybe 2 nights before, but a lot of times just the night before, and I would score maybe 1% higher than him. We had the same major, and it's because he was so good at pattern recognition, so good at test taking, so good at just observing what he needed to do, or just observing little nuances in the language and stuff in an answer, that he was able to get, especially multiple choice questions, right, honestly, without necessarily having like huge mastery over the material. And I was the opposite. I had to have this extreme mastery over the material so that I could score, because I would just get tripped up by all the questions. And so when I took the GRE, I really wanted to learn how to get good at standardized testing. I really wanted to learn how to do it. And how I did this was like, there's a lot of things that I did, but in this video I want to specifically talk about like how I brainwashed my mind. And I use that term because that's what it felt like. I legitimately had to like train my mind to believe that it could do it, that it could get a high score on this test. So what I would do is I took the train every day to work. I had a 45-minute commute to work. I studied for 2 years for the GRE while I was working full-time as a software engineer at CNN. And I took the train to work every day, and it was a beautiful commute. I'd walk for 10 minutes, then I'd have a 25-minute train ride, and then a 10-minute walk on the other end. So every day on that train, I would write to myself, I would just write little notes in my little notebook that said, like, I'm going to score 330 on the GRE. I could score 333 if I wanted. The GRE is just a test. I've done so many difficult things in my life. The GRE is just a test. Like I can do that, and it's no problem. I can move mountains with my mind, and the GRE is just a test. I would write all these things down, and I would just constantly repeat to myself, like, I'm gonna score a 330. I'm gonna score a 330. Just when I was walking around, I would constantly just be speaking this in my mind, and it got to the point where it felt almost irresponsible. It felt irresponsible to do anything less than a 330. It felt irresponsible to take the test if I wasn't scoring high on the practice test. So I ended up studying for 2 years, because up until then I was just like, I wasn't scoring high enough on these little practice problem sets and little practice exams. And so I just was like, okay, well, I just got to keep studying. My brain was just legitimately like, you just got to keep studying then, because you can do a 330. It's like, it's possible. So you should just keep studying. And so I just like kept going, and like in terms of like the actual work, I like way overkilled the work. You know what I mean? Like I studied for 2 years. I hired a tutor for the reading comprehension. I did like 7 or 8 sessions with a tutor. I did like a bunch of vocab. I read so many books that were out of my comfort level. I went through like, some of these like some of these questions, like the OG materials. I went through some of them, the official guide materials. I went through some of those like twice, like Magoosh questions, which I actually think GregMat and official guide are better. But I went through a lot of these Magoosh questions, like the medium and hard ones. I went through them twice. I did like all this stuff, like overkilling this exam, because I just, in my mind, I was like, I can score high. So I have, like, if I score lower, if I just accept a lower score, that's kind of, like, it's just like, why would you do that when you can score higher? And so I would write 330 because I like my actual goal score was like a 325 or something, but like my dream score was a 330. My dream score that I was super pumped about was a 330. I knew that 325 would get me into, or at least was good enough score to get me into UPenn's, University of Pennsylvania's MCIT program, which I did actually get into, but I decided At this point, I'm deferring and making YouTube videos and writing songs instead. But I just like 330 was my dream score, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of like annoying that I got a 329, 1 point away, probably just a few questions away. But I did eventually get that score, and it was after 2 years of studying. And so it's like, I just want to make this video for whoever's studying for the GRE, because I think something that could really help you that's a little bit wooey is just write over and over again in little scrawls in your notebook, in little, in between your practice sessions. Just constantly tell yourself that what the score you're going to get. Just constantly visualize yourself getting that score. It sounds crazy, but I actually think it works, because your mind starts to really believe, and when your mind really believes it, it feels like a bad idea it just feels like half done to not really take it, to not really study enough to do it. But if you don't actually think that you can get that score, then your mind is going to be like, okay, well, I can't really get that score, so I'll just study until I get to what I can get to. You know what I mean? And then you might study for like 2 months and then take the test, which is fine. That's totally fine. But if you want that really good score, and you're not like already good at standardized test taking, you're like me where you weren't good at standardized test taking, you're going to need to probably put in a lot of work to get your mind to be a stronger reader and to be a better test taker and to develop better test taking habits. Like, I remember one test taking habit that I had that was so bad, that was murdering my score, was I would double and sometimes even triple check my answers, like, before I would circle. And it was such a waste of time. I would not finish a single section because of this habit. And eventually I had to train my mind to not double check, to just trust in my first instinct and accept that I probably might, maybe I would get like one question wrong from not double checking. Maybe I would get one question wrong from not double checking, but that one question wrong would be outweighed by me actually being able to finish the section. So I had to like develop all these habits. So anyway, the point of this video is just to convey that I think there's a lot of benefit in practicing these affirmations and these visualizations of what score you could get, and practicing them over and over again, because I think what happens is then you believe it. You start to like really believe it. And then once you start to really believe it, you start to really work, like you have the conviction to work for long periods of time towards that goal, because you actually believe it. So I thought I would share, please like and subscribe if this content was helpful. I'm new to YouTube, and it would help me a lot. And so I wish you best of luck on your GRE journey. I experienced tremendous growth on the GRE. It was so hard for me to take tests before, and it's not like I'm some expert. As you know, they're like the GRE's out of 340, so 329 is a good score, a respectable score, but people score higher too. But now I feel like I'm a better reader because of the GRE. I feel like my mental math is better. I feel like just mentally I feel a lot tougher, that I was able to stay concentrated and perform at a high level for 3+ hours during the exam. I know they shortened the exam recently, but when I took it, it was like over 3 hours. So I thought I'd share this, and thank you so much for engaging with my content. And I really wish you the best of luck on the GRE. It's a beast of a test, but I think there is a lot of personal growth from studying and taking that test. So I wish you best of luck, and yeah, just do let me know. Let me know how like if you're planning on taking the test in the comments. Let me know when you're planning on taking the test in the comments, and if not when, that's a good thing, because I didn't actually set a date. I just kept studying until I got a good practice score. But let me know in the comments if you're taking the GRE and what affirmations you're planning on using, because I think it can be really helpful. All right, well, that's all I got for now. And I'll talk to y'all in the next one. All right, take care. Sounds like an elevator ride, heavily putting sounds in the cloud, and I don't think twice. It was just last year, I was scared to post. I didn't want to share all the songs that I wrote, lyrics I would write and burn the flames on the stove. I lacked courage to promote,
But now I'm getting close, open mic show, stepping up 10 toes, stage fright feel but overthrow. I'm walking open doors, doubt I left it on the floor, like a plant I'll grow. Cause I'm making moves, steadily creating grooves, different miles, same shoes. This music's soul food, stop creating, I refuse to the sound, ooh I'm glued.